and accessibility to mobility devices in general? Well, there seems to be a lot of confusion in your school environment. There are no safety standards for mobility devices. They are voluntary on the part of private citizens. Only providers of public transportation are required to follow certain rules and regulations. And those rules and regulations do not come from some National Association of State Directors of Pupil Transportation Services, which are full of baloney because they work in education departments, and the education department has no regulatory or oversight responsibility for transportation in any shape or form, even if it says school bus on the side. It is out of their pilot house. Furthermore, we do have actual codes, rules, and regulations. Every single school bus is explicitly required to be accessible between Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the American Disabilities Act of 1990. We have a state transportation law, Title 17, New York Codes, Rules, and Regulations, Section 720.8. Every school bus that's to transport disabled children must be equipped with a lift. It must be readily usable by people who use braces, canes, crutches, walkers, and other mobility devices, including wheelchairs, manual, and power. And they can get on the lift any direction they want. They can stand sideways, frontwards, backwards. There is no regulation, nor can they. It's against federal and state law. Everyone must be accommodated if for any reason they have trouble boarding normally by the stairs. It is an illegal purchase. If you purchase a public transportation vehicle that's not readily usable by all persons, it's a Section 504 violation. You can't use taxpayer money to buy school buses that have only stairs, a stairwell. It is inconsistent with our regulations. Everyone's pulled the wool over their eyes. They think that some state education department employee is the director of pupil transportation. And they play a big game. They've lent the prestige of public office to pure, in highly technical terms, I'm going to use the word for you, Alex. They lent the prestige of public office to bullshit. If the past Attorney General of the United States of America can say bullshit, your father can too, okay? Yeah, bullshit. Mm-hmm. But what Grandpa Marmette would have called it, what I've called it on my life because of Grandpa Marmette's influence on me, is happy horse shit. And I think happy horse shit sounds better than bullshit. But either which way, it's all shite. They're not using their head. There's no adult in the room, and it's a shame. We have people with doctors. They're not following education department law. They're not following federal and state education law, let alone transportation law. They are following their own made-up nonsense. And they don't even read their own nonsense. Their own nonsense says, before you follow any of this nonsense that we're spouting, you better check with your local, state, and federal codes, rules, and regulations and laws to make sure it's okay. Well, I assure you it's not okay to segregate children in transportation based on disability. I assure you it's not okay to intentionally exclude disabled people of certain classes from the use of your lift if they're not in a wheelchair with certain equipment. It's not okay to set standards on mobility devices. There are none. Please follow the rules and regulations of the state and the federal government, not your made-up garbage. It's just the prestige of public office being lent to all this nonsense. You know, it's a shame, Alex. And your school bus driver, a bus, nicknames for Mr. GPS, the boss. Hey, boss. You know, and some kids having their names regular, and some kids being called other names because of their way. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. It's ridiculous. And you're going to put 2 children together on the bus, and there's no role model, not even the bus driver, on proper behavior. The aide doesn't know enough to complain that the bus driver is calling kids by nicknames and stuff. It's wrong, Alex. I'm sorry you have to put up with this. I'm sorry that you've grown up in a world where, of course, you're not allowed to get on the bus like a blue bus, you know? Of course, anyone with any device can get on any public transportation. I'm sorry that people in our society have normalized this nonsense and that you have bared the brunt of it. That you had to ride a school bus all by yourself, a short bus, all by yourself with enough room for the other kids in the neighborhood for kindergarten and first grade. That you weren't even allowed to transfer out of the seat to a regular seat in the bus. And then you weren't even allowed to get out of your, it wasn't even it was a wheelchair technically by transportation rules, but out of the stroller. You couldn't even move it yourself. The whole thing is preposterous. It's preposterous, And if no one else is an adult in the room, your father should be. I should take $300, go to the federal court, maybe Tuesday morning. I hate Mondays. I should go down to the federal court, lay down my $300, and just start filling out an ADA complaint in a federal court, and take the United States Department of Transportation, United States Department of Education, the State Department of Education, the State Department of Transportation, and Gitterland Central School District to federal court. Because in federal court, all their nonsense does not exist. There is no National Association of State Directors. There is no state education department policies. There is federal law. And I assure you that Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 and all the federal transportation and education regulations are the closest rule at hand in a federal court. And we will win. You will win. You are entitled to a ride to school with all the other children on an accessible bus using your walker, whatever the hell you want to use to get on or off the bus. It's none of their beeswax, and it's not a safety issue. The whole thing is preposterous. You could be riding, you and the other kids in the neighborhood could be riding to and from school for $36 a day. $36 a day, they can't even pay for an aide and a bus driver for the same amount of time. It's ridiculous. And that's a political thing because it's outside the boundary of the city limits. The whole thing's preposterous. There are no adults. They don't read the books. They don't read their own garbage that they put out. And they don't even use their own head. Testing the kids' ability to get up and down stairs so we can ride a regular bus with the other kids. It's preposterous. They call themselves adults. They call themselves Committee on Special Ed chairpersons. And I think I'm aging like an old bag of garbage. No. I guess compared to them, I'm not aging like an old bag of garbage, It's 2022. I can't, oh my God, how long ago was 1973? 25, 35, 45, 46, 48, 50 years ago, right? Yeah. Yeah, the Rehabilitation Act of 50 years ago. Half a century. And no one gets it? That all services are supposed to be provided equally? Well, how's it an equal service when you put, just like black kids used to be, black kids on a bus and white kids on other buses? Well, segregation on any basis it is inherently unequal. And when you segregate disabled children from other children on the buses, it's inherently unequal. And I don't know why it's up to your dad to try to explain this to everybody. But I think I should go put my $300 down and do it. What do you think? You're nodding your head, yes. I should put my money where my mouth is, right? And where the law is. Okay, you challenge me to do it, so I'm going to do it then. Okay, you're on. I think Tuesday morning, I'm going to march down I'll find out where the federal court is. And I can't remember the name of the senator. Senator Harkin, I think it was. Senator Harkin, I believe. The day before the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, disabled people had nothing to say about being treated equally. The day before the Americans with Disabilities Act. The day before, I think it was Friday, September 6, 1992. Or was it 91? I don't know. Friday, September 6th. I remember that part for sure. It was probably 92, 2 years. They had a lot of work to do. But the ADA has been promulgated in federal transportation law. And it says it is discrimination for a public entity to purchase a vehicle, a transportation vehicle that's not usable by all persons, that's not accessible. It is discrimination to segregate in transportation. All these things are black and white, and it's not rocket science. Now, your father only completed 10th grade formally. Now, if someone who only completed 10th grade formally can understand these concepts, I think that the people with doctorates and attorneys with their degrees in law and stuff, they should understand it. But I don't get it. I don't get where the human perception problem is. I don't get how simple it is to say, well, this ain't fair that Alex ain't riding with the other kids, right? This ain't fair that Alex can't get on the lift using his walker. What are you talking? Little old ladies and men every day at senior citizens homes get on and off the buses that go to the bingo hall and out shopping. Of course you can use the lift. Like the blue buses, the CDTA, and paratransit. The only reason for paratransit because you have trouble getting to the regular bus. The regular bus is completely accessible. It's like, oh my God. Ay, 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 ay. People just don't see these things. Anyways, cut. Your phone will run out of gigabytes of memory.